You are currently working 16 hours a day. Your calendar is perfectly color-coded. Your desk is impeccably organized. You have every productivity app downloaded on your phone. And yet, your bank account is an absolute tragedy. You are exhausted, you are stressed, and you tell everyone around you how incredibly busy you are, wearing your burnout like a badge of honor. But let me deliver the brutal reality check that you desperately need to hear today. You are not working hard, you are just hiding. You have fallen victim to the productivity illusion, a toxic trap designed to make you feel like you are building an empire, when, in reality, you are just rearranging the furniture in a burning house. Society has glorified the hustle culture, selling you the lie that motion equals progress. You spend 3 hours watching morning routine videos of billionaires, another 2 hours optimizing your Notion workspace, and an entire week designing the perfect logo for a business that does not even have a single paying customer yet. This is not entrepreneurship. This is elite-level procrastination. You are engaging in what I call fake work. Fake work is any activity that perfectly mimics the aesthetic of being a high-level executor, but carries absolutely zero risk of rejection, zero risk of failure, and zero potential for generating actual revenue. Why do you do this? Because your primitive brain is terrified of the friction zone. The friction zone is where the real work lives. It is the cold call to a skeptical prospect. It is publishing the first raw piece of content where people might laugh at you. It is asking for the sale and facing the possibility of a direct, humiliating rejection. To protect your fragile ego from that pain, your brain engineers a brilliant defense mechanism. It makes you obsess over the trivial details. It convinces you that you cannot possibly launch the product until the website font is perfectly aligned. It tells you that you need to read just one more book on marketing before you actually run an advertisement. You get a cheap, unearned hit of dopamine every time you check a tiny, meaningless box on your to-do list, tricking your nervous system into feeling successful while your actual net worth remains completely stagnant. The absolute titans of industry, the sovereign individuals who command massive wealth and power, operate on a completely different frequency. They do not have complex color-coded planners. They do not care about having a perfectly aesthetic desk. They are utterly ruthless about identifying the single most terrifying, uncomfortable, high-leverage task of the day, and they attack it with violent, unhesitating execution. They understand that wealth is not generated by doing 100 easy things. It is generated by doing the one hard thing that everyone else is too cowardly to attempt. If you want to break free from the matrix of middle-class hustle and actually own your path, you must initiate an immediate and ruthless purge of your productivity systems. Delete the tracking apps. Throw the complex planners in the garbage. Stop consuming content about how to work and actually do the work. I want you to look at your massive to-do list right now and identify the 80% of tasks that are just intellectual masturbation. Cross them out. You are left with the needle movers. The needle movers are the tasks that make your stomach drop, the ones that make your palms sweat, because they require you to step out of your safe little bubble and interact with the unforgiving marketplace. From this moment forward, you are no longer allowed to call yourself busy if you have not executed a needle-moving task. Being busy is a failure of prioritization. It means you have allowed the noise of the world to dictate your schedule instead of imposing your sovereign will onto the day. You must adopt the mindset of a sniper. A sniper does not run around the battlefield, firing 1,000 rounds in random directions, hoping to hit something. A sniper sits in absolute uncomfortable silence, waiting for the perfect moment to take one single, highly leveraged shot that changes the entire outcome of the war. You need to become a sniper with your daily energy. Stop spreading yourself completely thin across 20 different meaningless projects. Pick the one objective that will dramatically increase your income or your leverage. Lock yourself in a room, turn off your phone, and dedicate uninterrupted, psychotic focus to that single target until it is utterly destroyed. When you strip away the fake work, you will suddenly realize that building wealth actually requires very little time, but it requires a terrifying amount of courage. It requires the courage to launch the ugly prototype. It requires the courage to look foolish in the short term. It requires the courage to stop preparing and start fighting. Your obsession with productivity is just a sophisticated mask for your fear of judgment. Take off the mask. Stop playing office. The marketplace does not pay you for having a beautiful calendar. It pays you for solving complex problems and delivering undeniable value. Every minute you spend optimizing your workspace is a minute your competitor spends aggressively stealing your market share. They are out there right now, with a messy desk and a terrible logo, closing the deals that you were too busy preparing to pursue. It is time to execute. Let us dive even deeper into the psychology of this trap, because until you rip it out by the roots, it will continue to sabotage your future. Consider the concept of the sunk cost fallacy applied to your daily routine. You have invested so much of your identity into being the hard worker, the person who is always grinding, always tired, and always online. If you were to suddenly stop doing the 80% of useless tasks that fill your day, you would have to face a terrifying void of free time. And in that free time, the silence would force you to confront the reality that you are not as far along in life as you projected you would be. So you keep yourself overwhelmed on purpose. You manufacture emergencies. You reply to emails within 30 seconds to prove to yourself that you are essential. You schedule meetings to discuss other meetings. You are addicted to the chaos because the chaos drowns out the quiet voice of truth telling you that you are playing a small game. To graduate to the level of the elite, you must become intimately comfortable with doing less, but doing it with lethal precision. Think about the concept of leverage we discussed in previous lessons. When you are caught in the productivity illusion, you are applying maximum force to the shortest possible lever. You are pushing with all your might against a brick wall that will never move. The sovereign individual takes a step back, surveys the landscape, and finds a lever that is 10 miles long. When they push on that lever, even with minimal effort, they move mountains. Finding that lever requires deep, uninterrupted thinking. It requires you to sit in a chair with a blank piece of paper and ruthlessly question your own business model. But you cannot do that if your mind is cluttered with the anxiety of 100 unchecked microtasks. You have to give yourself permission to be perceived as lazy by the working class. The masses will look at you taking a walk in the middle of the day or sitting quietly staring at a wall, and they will judge you. They will think you lack ambition because you are not sweating and bleeding for every dollar. Let them judge. They do not understand that in the modern digital economy, wealth is not generated by the physical movement of your hands. It is generated by the clarity of your decisions. A single crystal-clear decision made in a state of calm focus can generate more revenue in 1 second than a lifetime of chaotic, frantic labor. You are the CEO of your own existence. A CEO does not clean the floors. They do not organize the supply closet, and they do not spend their days highlighting documents. They dictate the vision, they allocate capital, and they make the hard calls. You must start treating your time, your focus, and your energy as the most premium capital on earth. Every time you say yes to a low-value task, you are embezzling funds from your own empire. You are stealing from your future self to appease your present anxiety. The ultimate test of your maturity as a creator, an entrepreneur, or a sovereign individual is your ability to look a distraction dead in the eye and say absolutely nothing. You do not need to fight it. You do not need to justify your refusal. You just let it pass by like a cloud. This requires an ironclad ego. It requires you to stop deriving your self-worth from your exhaustion. You must retrain your brain to derive pleasure not from being busy, but from being effective. Effectiveness is a cold, harsh metric. It does not care about your feelings. It does not care about how early you woke up. And it does not care about how aesthetically pleasing your workspace is. Effectiveness only asks one question. Did the needle move today? Did the bank account grow? Did the audience expand? Did the skill level increase? If the answer is no, then your entire day, no matter how exhausting it was a complete waste of oxygen. The harsh reality is that the market is a brutal meritocracy. It will ruthlessly crush the people who are playing house and reward the people who are actually in the trenches swinging the sword. The era of the hustle culture aesthetic is dead. We are entering the era of the asymmetric executor, the individual who works 4 hours a day on pure, unadulterated, high-leverage activities will absolutely obliterate the individual working 16 hours a day on trivial nonsense. It is time to completely rewrite your definition of hard work. Hard work is not physical exhaustion. Hard work is the mental fortitude to sit with a difficult, terrifying problem until you crack it, without seeking the escape hatch of an easy distraction. From this moment on, your daily to-do list should never contain more than 3 items. If you have more than 3 things on your list, you do not have a plan. You have a wish list of anxieties. Pick the 3 things that actually matter. Attack the scariest one first, before you check your phone, before you read an email, and before you let the world infect your mind with its agenda. Eat the frog, slay the dragon, do the hard thing. The moment you cross that one terrifying task off your list, the rest of the day is yours. You have won. You have generated actual momentum. The illusion of productivity is a cage designed to keep you spinning on a hamster wheel of mediocrity. Step off the wheel, break the cage, stop preparing to live, and start commanding your reality.